1. Shock hook opening. Move, Grandpa. The park was quiet in that careful, expensive way quiet tends to be. Trimmed hedges, fresh mulch, a fountain humming at the center while joggers circled past nannies and golden retrievers. Late sunlight filtered through tall oaks, seeing softly on a frail black man seated alone on a green
Look at this
painted
old
bench,
guy.
scattering crumbs for pigeons at his feet. The
Yo,
laughter
look at
came
this
sharp
guy.
and
He's
sudden.
just standing there.
3 teenagers,
Leave him alone, man.
clean sneakers,
I'm just
pressed
playing with him.
academy hoodies, cut across the grass like they owned it. One kicked his cane so it clattered against the concrete. Another shoved his shoulder. Move, Grandpa. This isn't a retirement home.
Look at him. He's just
He
sitting
stumbled
there.
sideways, his paper cup tipped, coffee spreading in a slow brown stream along the pavement.
Yo, look at
Phones
this.
rose instantly.
Still using
recording.
a stick in
He steadied
2024.
himself without a word.
Make sure you
thin
get the
hands
suspenders,
gripping the
bro.
bench. A plain
good
wedding
old
band,
timer.
a small gold
You look lonely over
championship
here.
ring catching the sun. One boy
Yeah,
snorted.
we can keep you company.
Man looks like he hasn't won anything in his life.
Yo,
no one stepped
check this
forward.
out. Get a load
And
of this
then,
guy.
just as quickly, the afternoon shifted.
Man, what are you doing?
2.
You boys enjoying
Rewind
the
in
sunset.
context. The man they didn't see the park sat in the center of Briar Glen, a neighborhood where lawns were edged with ruler precision and luxury SUVs gleamed in the angled parking along Maple Drive. Just beyond the trees stood St. Bartholomew Academy, a private school known for its tuition rates and college acceptance banners more than its humility. It wasn't unusual to see students drifting through after classes. Navy hoodies stamped with the Academy crest, sneakers that cost more than most monthly car payments. Their teasing tones often passed for humor, their sharpness excused as confidence. The old man on the bench had been coming every Thursday for years. He arrived around 4, fed the pigeons, sipped coffee, watched children play. A few longtime residents would nod respectfully as they passed. He always nodded back, quiet, contained, never lingering in conversation. His name was Harold Hayes, but in another lifetime, arenas knew him as Iron Hayes. 47 professional fights, 47 wins, never knocked down after retiring. He opened a small boxing gym on the south side, mentoring boys who needed discipline more than applause. There's a plaque downtown with his name etched in brass. Photos online still show him broad-shouldered, gloves raised, eyes unbreakable. Age had thinned him, slowed his steps. The teenagers didn't recognize him, but now you do, and the bench is waiting. Matali 3. Escalation I. Performance cruelty. The laughter doesn't fade. It spreads. One boy hunches his shoulders and begins shuffling in a slow circle, exaggerating each step. His friends howl. Another reaches out and nudges the old man again. Not hard enough to leave a mark, just enough to prove he can. Careful, he says, with a grin. Don't break a hip. A young mother nearby tightens her grip on her daughter's hand and steers her toward the fountain. An older man in a windbreaker lowers his eyes and pretends to scroll through his phone, thumb moving though the screen stays dark. A jogger slows for half a second, then keeps moving. No one speaks. One of the teens swings his foot through the scattered pigeon feed. Seeds skitter across the pavement like tiny beads, rolling into cracks, disappearing between stones. Harold bends carefully, retrieving his cane. His hands don't shake. His breathing stays even. He brushes a bit of dust from his sleeve, as if that's the only disturbance worth acknowledging. A boy leans close enough for others to hear. Bet he never fought for anything. The words hang there, heavy with ignorance, and still, they aren't finished. 4. Escalation 2. Physical boundary crossed. The tallest of the 3 grows bored with talk. He steps behind the bench, grips the metal backrest with both hands, and jerks it hard to one side. The legs scrape against the concrete with a sharp, grating shriek. Harold's balance gives. His foot slips on loose seed, and he drops to one knee. A few gasps ripple through the park. One of the boys lifts his phone higher, zooming in. The screen reflects the old man's bent frame, the cane lying inches away. Stand up, champ, the boy says, smirking. The word hangs there, almost sacred in its irony. Harold doesn't scramble. He plants one palm against the bench, the other around his cane, and rises slowly. No rush, no tremble. He straightens fully, brushes dust from his slacks, smooths the crease with deliberate care. Then, for the first time, he looks directly at them. His gaze is steady, measured, not angry, not afraid. He takes in the Academy crest stitched on their jackets, the navy thread, The gold lettering. He studies it as if committing it to memory. Quietly, almost gently, he asks, "Do your parents know where you are?" They burst out laughing. And that's when the air begins to change. Matthew 5. The quiet reveal. Call your coach. Harold slips one hand inside his coat. The boys stiffen, half expecting him to fumble for a phone, maybe dial the police. One of them mutters, "Here we go," still grinning for the camera. Instead, he removes an old leather wallet, edges worn soft with time. He opens it carefully. Inside is a faded photograph. A younger Harold stands under bright arena lights, shoulders thick, gloves raised high. A referee grips wrist in victory. Around his waist rests a championship belt, gold plate gleaming. Sweat shines on a face that looks nothing like Frail. A woman standing near the fountain squints, then inhales sharply. "That's Iron Haze." A jogger slows to a stop. "No way," he whispers. Recognition moves through the small crowd in quiet waves. Harold closes the wallet and looks at the boy holding the phone. "You should call your school's athletic director." The boy blinks. "What?" Understanding creeps in, draining color from his face. Sunlight flashes against the gold ring on Harold's finger. The laughter dies without ceremony. And for the first time, the boys look small. At L6, public collapse. Ego meets reality. One of the boys slowly lowers his phone, the screen still recording but now pointed at the ground. Another shakes his head, staring at Harold as if the years are rearranging themselves in front of him. "No way." A middle-aged man steps forward from the edge of the walkway. "My dad trained under him," he says quietly. "Southside Boxing Gym." "That's Iron Haze." The words spread faster than the laughter did. One of the teens fumbles with his phone, thumbs moving quickly. A search result appears, then another. Photos. Headlines. Hall of Fame induction. A picture of Harold cutting the ribbon outside a youth gym. Kids lined up beside him in borrowed gloves. Their faces lose color. One boy forces a chuckle. "Okay. So he boxed or whatever." His voice cracks mid-sentence. Harold adjusts his cuff and looks at the phone, still capturing everything. "You filmed it," he says evenly. "Good. No threat. No raised tone. Just certainty." The balance of the afternoon shifts completely. The space that once held their swagger now holds something else. Consequence. And consequence doesn't stay confined to a park bench for long. Motel 7. Institutional consequences. When privilege collides with evidence by nightfall, the video is everywhere. Not the clipped, laughing version the boys meant to post, but the full recording. The shove, the fall, the words. And the moment recognition settles over their faces like ash, someone in the park had captured it from another angle. Clear, unedited, impossible to excuse. Community pages light up first, then local news. Comment sections fill with names, questions, outrage. Briar Glen isn't used to this kind of attention. By morning, St. Bartholomew Academy releases a statement. "We are aware." By afternoon, an investigation is underway. The student code of conduct, usually quoted in orientation packets, suddenly matters. Zero tolerance for harassment, on or off campus. Batacrents are called in. Doors close. Voices rise behind polished wood. Scholarships are suspended pending review. One of the boys, a varsity wide receiver with scouts already circling, receives quiet emails. Recruitment reconsidered. Another's father, seated on the local development board, finds himself named in opinion pieces questioning influence and accountability. At the Southside Boxing Gym, a simple message appears online. Respect is non-negotiable. Harold does not press criminal charges. He doesn't need to. His attorney sends formal notice, citing harassment and minor assault, preserving the option. The school board votes on disciplinary action. Mandatory community service. Diversity and conduct training. A public apology delivered at assembly. Voices shaking into a microphone that suddenly feels heavy. Policy revisions follow. Anti-bullying language expands beyond campus boundaries. A new parent accountability clause is added. What began as laughter on a
Yo,
park
look at
bench
this
becomes
guy.
policy inked in permanence. And weeks
Leave him
later, the
alone,
park
man.
grows quiet again. Mattel 8. Epilogue. Strength redefined. 3 weeks later, the park settles back into its polished calm. Harold sits on the same green bench, a fresh cup of coffee resting safely beside him. Pigeons gather at his shoes, pecking gently at scattered crumbs. The fountain hums. Children laugh near the swings. Life, steady as ever. A boy no older than 10 approaches, hesitating before speaking. Sir, were you really undefeated? Harold looks up, eyes softening. Yes, he says simply. The boy studies him, then asks, did you ever knock someone out? Harold considers that for a moment. The breeze lifts the edge of his coat. Sometimes, he says, winning means not swinging. The boy nods as if he understands more than he lets on. Across the lawn, 3 teenagers in bright community service vests move along the pathway with trash grabbers and heavy-duty bags. Their laughter is gone. They keep their heads down, working in silence. They do not look toward the bench. Harold does. Not with anger, just acknowledgement. And somehow, the whole park feels steadier because of it. Botsell 9. Moral reflection and engagement trigger. When did age become something to mock instead of honor? There was a time when a gray head meant experience, when a slow step meant miles already walked. Somewhere along the way, noise started passing for strength. But real strength isn't loud. It doesn't shove. It doesn't circle someone with a camera. It doesn't mistake cruelty for confidence. It waits. It watches. And, when necessary, it stands. What happened in that park wasn't just about one man or 3 teenagers. It was about what we tolerate, what we excuse, and what we choose to correct. So let me ask you, do you believe respect for elders is disappearing in today's culture? And when lines are crossed like this, should consequences be even stronger, or is public accountability enough? Share your thoughts below. And if stories like this matter to you, stay with us.